With the union budget nearly about to come in a couple of days, let's see what are the components of it so that we can understand it in better detail in the upcoming days. So the union budget is the annual financial statement, okay? It has all the details of the revenues and the receipts or the receipts and the expenditures of the government. So whenever we talk of receipts, that is something equivalent to revenue matlab incoming money that which has come inside, incoming money, and expenditure is any money which has gone outside. So the government budget has two components. One is the revenue budget, the other one is the capital budget. Now revenue budget also has two components, revenue expenditure and revenue receipt, okay? And so does capital budget. These two similar components of capital expenditure and capital receipts. One thing I want to tell you is, out of these four things, you should remember that revenue receipts are good and so is capital expenditure, but capital receipts are bad, so are revenue expenditures, okay? I'll tell you in detail. This is just a brief roadmap, a color scheme which I think you should remember. Why is revenue expenditure said to be bad? Because revenue expenditure, as under revenue expenditure, nothing substantial happens, okay? Like these are the expenses that we have done on things which are which don't create any long-term asset, but they don't reduce any long-term liability also. No asset creation and no liability reduction. Now what are these examples? Like interest payment on loans, okay? Salary given to its employee, okay? Grants in aid by central government to state government, alright? And all of these things, they don't create any asset and they don't even reduce any long-term liabilities. They are just expenditures which do not add much value to the system. Now revenue receipts on the other hand, they don't create any liability and they don't reduce any asset. Liability matlab some commitment ki we need to give more money, okay? Now revenue receipts also have two parts, tax receipts and non-tax, okay? Tax receipts are those receipts, mandatory sort of tax like income tax, GST, all of these sort of things that we pay are a part of tax receipts, okay? Non-tax receipts are the ones like challan, fine, okay, sheets, fees. Now as an amount, I want to tell you that non-tax receipts are very less in Indian economy, okay? I guess they are merely 5% of the whole Indian government budget. Now let's speak of capital expenditure. Capital expenditure is a good thing because these are the ones which create new assets and reduce long run liabilities. Here we were saying कि no new asset creation. इसमें it was like कि no new asset is created, but no new liability is also added, okay? No new liability, no new asset, okay? But here new asset is created in capital expenditure. In revenue expenditure, no new asset is added, no new liability, and here new asset is added and liabilities are reduced. Now what are these examples? Like construction of road, addition of some machinery, establishment of electric line. Yeah, and also one important part is paying back of loans. Paying back of loans, it reduces the long-term liability, so it is a part of the capital expenditure. I told you that capital expenditure is good and capital receipts are bad. Okay, now let's see what is capital receipts. Now capital receipts, they reduce the asset and they add new liabilities, okay? Nobody wants the situation, okay? So now let me give you an example of how the asset is reduced, new liabilities are added. Sale of any public sector unit, okay, or any other government enterprise. Disinvestment. So basically disinvestment is in any sector, if the government has 51% share and more, it's said to be a public sector, okay? In disinvestment, what they do is they drop their share to anything below 51%. Yeah, another one is the borrowing from other banks, other institutions, okay? And again, past recovery of loans. So all of these things, they are this is the entire talk, okay? Revenue receipts has interest payment, salary, grants. Revenue receipts have tax receipts and non-tax receipts, which has income tax, GST, and challan and fines and fees. Capital expenditure, on the other hand, is creation of any new road, new machinery, new building, any new thing which creates more things. Okay, paying back of own loans because it reduces the long run liability. And capital receipts is sale of the PSU disinvestments, borrowing from other institutes, past recovery of loans. So all of these things are there. So the next talk we are going to have on the kinds of deficit, primarily revenue deficit, fiscal deficit and primary deficit. What are its long-term implications? That's it. Until then.